Of course there does. The thing that is very sad is that Meghan is becoming known to being very negative and destroying things. We've seen it with Harry's family, that she's not going to ever come to the UK, but she said she is. She just makes things very difficult. Her poor father, who is now 80, she won't have anything to do with him. She didn't have anyone else at the wedding apart from her mother on her
Stop it.
side. And if she doesn't want a friend, she just drops them. She never thinks about them again. So she has moments of being funny and clever and all that, but actually it's very difficult for her not to turn negative. And I wonder why that is, whether, it's in the family, whether it's upbringing, whether it's just her. But I think it's something very powerful there that destroys what could have been a very good, helpful, wonderful royal.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, but I definitely don't think it's the Markle side of the family, because that's the side of the family that I've got to know. And actually, if you look at them, Angela, they are positive people. They're go-getters. They are actually really people. Thomas Markle Jr., Thomas himself, Samantha. So maybe it comes from the Doria side of the family, the Raglan side of the family, but certainly I don't think that negativity comes from the Markles, even though obviously she gives the Markles a bad name these days. Angela, you reported last week, and of course it's gone all around the world here on Outspoken, just how unhappy Meghan in particular was after
that doesn't make sense.
That CBS interview launching the Parents Network. Do you think that Josh Kettler's departure could be coinciding with that? Because it was such a bad launch. No one was talking about the Parents Network. Everyone was just talking about this awkward interview. Do you think that could have been the final straw?
Well, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because we don't know when he actually said, I'm coming. And you could be set at the last minute. But I think that Meghan was furious.
Are you serious?
That in the interview, it was brought up about her decision. She wanted to kill herself. And you could see she was absolutely furious. You could also see that she was absolutely furious when Harry spoke about what he thought a parent should do, which was rather odd. And I think that's really upset her. The interesting thing is, I always thought with Harry,
wait for it,
he always showed you what he felt on his face, and he still does. You can see whether he's happy or whether he's sad. Sadly, it's mainly sad. But on the other hand, Meghan often had this smile and looked, as if she was a very successful star and smiling and looking nice. But now, when something happens, she immediately changes and her face looks terrified. She looks very, very angry, and you could see it all there in her stomach, that she's furious. How dare they do this to her? And I think that's quite interesting, because it's obviously done in public, and we can all get cross in public, but you don't do that. You try not to anyway till you get home, and then you can say, "Oh, so angry."
Yeah, but she can't even hide it anymore. You're right. And we saw that, didn't we, when she came back for the late Queen's funeral, and there was that very awkward walkabout outside of Windsor Castle alongside William and Catherine. And there was a moment when a aide tried to take some flowers off her, and he seemed like a very nice young man who was trying to help her out, and she snapped at him. And I thought, my goodness, if you're snapping at someone like that when you know that you're in the glare of the world's media with hundreds and hundreds of cameras on you, then imagine what you're like.
Stop it.
Like behind closed doors at your Montecito mansion. It ain't going to be pretty, is it?
That's the interesting thing, that she is an actress. So she ought to be able
to turn it on.
change her expressions.
wait for it,
to what she wants. She shouldn't be overwhelmed by them. I think that's quite strange. But on that day, you could see she was furious. And then when they walked round, the four of them, they were looking at the flowers and things left on the road, and she was turning left and right because Catherine wasn't giving her any attention, and you can see she was so bitter, she was so angry, and you want to say, calm down, Meghan, don't show it.
Yeah, exactly. Be a better actress. Be a better actress.
Be a better actress and be dignified. I mean, everybody knew that she was furious with.
Wait for it.
Them, but she had kept them waiting over an hour actually before they went out for their walk. So when they wanted to go and see all these flowers and comments and letters, so I'm sure they would be quite angry. But
stop it.
That's beside the point. She just couldn't hold it in.
Angela, can we talk about the Colombian tour? Because even though there's no chief of staff, Harry and Meghan are still going at the invitation of the country's vice president. They arrive, we believe, on Thursday. They're going to be staying at one point in the Sofitel Hotel, which looks quite glamorous, but slightly odd that we know where they're going to be, given all of the security concerns. What are you hearing about this tour, Angela, and what are you expecting to come from it?
Well, let me just start by saying,
wait for it.
Keep on saying they want to see the king and how awful it is. You would speak to them all that. But if you really wanted to make him happy, and if you really wanted to get closer to William, you would.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
Wouldn't go on this sort of phony royal tour because they're not royals and they can't make any deals. They can't make any organizations or discuss anything because they don't have that privilege. But it does hurt the royal family because whatever they do, and they did some dreadful things in Nigeria where they were in May, is actually very bad for the royal family because some people aren't going to say, well, they're not actually royal, but they're sort of royal. They don't know where they are. So I thought, they shouldn't have gone. The other thing, talking about Parents Network and saying, oh, their children are so wonderful, so lovely. Why are they leaving them all the time to go, and specifically this place, going to one of the most dangerous countries in the world? If they really cared, why are they going? What are they going to do there? Why are they there? It's just extraordinary. So what I expect is that Meghan would have a whole load of expensive dresses. She'll be smiling and very nice. They speak Spanish there, and she's allegedly a very good speaker of Spanish. And for me, I think we'll see more of Harry with a miserable face because he won't know what on earth's being said or done, and he will be left behind. I can't imagine her telling him, saying, let me just tell Harry this, let me just tell Harry this. This is not happening, is it? But speaking in the language there is a very good way of being friendly. So the idea is that they look at people, children, teenagers, adults, all sorts of ages and all sorts of types. And the idea, which people say, is that they want to improve.
Stop it.
Their brand. And in Colombia, they want to improve their brand. It's a Labour Party that's running the country, and it's going down the drain because it's being so hopeless. And there's been a lot of fighting and murdering and stealing and all these things. So they think that if they get too glamorous,
okay,
people, it will sort of boost them up. So I think that's the idea of it, that they're both going to take something out of it, but it's not a good place to be, and it's a pointless place to be.
Fact.
What are they doing? The other thing is, though, that I think Meghan will want to do this to show that she could be a much better royal than the royals in the UK. I mean, she's yearned for this so much. She wants them to know that she's a sort of global guru, and this will, help anybody, and she can handle anything, but she can't. And the vice president, who is taking them round in her own helicopter, is also black, the first black who is a vice president, and she's delighted that Meghan would be there. She thinks,
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
it's absolutely wonderful, and they can talk very familiarly, during the time. But when they go off to certain areas, it's going to be really, really dangerous. So they're going to have a load of people supporting them and looking after them.
Paid for by Colombian taxpayers, by the way.
Paid for by the people, taxpayer.
Who might not be that happy about their money. Fact. Being spent in a poverty-stricken company on Harry and Meghan's security. The other thing is, Angela, you talk about the government going downhill, and there's been loads of scandals involving this Colombian government, including with the president. So isn't there the risk that Harry and Meghan are just being used as political pawns here, and they've made themselves vulnerable as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I meant, really. You've expressed it very well. Thank you. Just that they will be used.
Fact.
So that when they go there and they show photographs of them around the world, they will think, everyone will think that we're fine and it's safe and we're wonderful because look who we've got here.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a very, very difficult meeting, particularly as they won't have a chief of staff there.
I know, because he has been dispensed of. You can
Stop it.
just imagine them, couldn't you, in medieval times, them just locking all of these former staff members who don't appease their every whim in the tower.